Hey everybody, the Sneaky Snake here for Brothers in Arms World of Warships, and today we're going to take a look at a replay that my buddy Puddin597 sent to me. He is in his Tier 9 American battleship, the Iowa. The replay has been skipped ahead from the beginning, about 2.5 minutes into the game, and he's getting ready to fire his first salvo that we see recorded here at that enemy Colorado. So, with patch 0.5.7 right around the corner, we just had a video on our channel that showcased me and my Iowa while I talked about the various changes that are upcoming. So once again, really quickly, as he shoots his rear turret at that shores, the Iowa, along with the Montana, is slated to get quite the nice buff to its gun performance with the next patch. The modules are changing, the equipment, that is, and basically what's going to happen is this thing is going to become much more accurate shooting at longer ranges, and the Iowa will theoretically become more deadly, more shells will be landing on the target. So he's here on the map Trident right now in a standard battle as he shoots his next salvo, the forward turrets that is, at the enemy Baltimore. And he's heading out over here to the western part of the map. And over here there's a Baltimore, there's obviously the Colorado, there's a Tirpitz, there's a Mayhem that's coming down the channel, there's a second Tirpitz that's also trying to make his way down the channel. There's plenty of ships coming over here indeed, and this replay will just really show the power that the Iowa has when it is top tier. Currently in this game he is playing by himself with no teammate support available in the form of a division. So he goes to a full stop here because he sees the enemy Mayhem, and obviously, when there's destroyers in the area, you got to change your speed up a little bit, shift your course. Obviously, these are things that high-tier battleship players should obviously know, but you'd be surprised. Good 5 hits there on that enemy Tirpitz for 7,400 damage. So far, a pretty decent 26,000 damage done in the first 4 minutes of the game, and he is just getting warmed up. An unknown assailant is shooting shells over the island over there, but he keeps backing up, and he does take a couple hits, about 2,000 damage, but the enemy Tirpitz presents a nice broadside to him as he's on fire, 13.6 kilometers away, and Puddin shoots out his forward guns yet again. Shells are on the way. There we go, 4 hits, 10,000 damage. That's a very solid hit any way you look at it. Knocked out a gun as well. So basically right now what Puddin is doing, this is a tactic that a lot of people do at the high tiers. Get bow in, because obviously everybody should know about armor angling and how to preserve your hit points with their battleships at these tiers, but just utilizing the forward turrets. And, a lot of battleship captains get into that kind of mindset where, oh, I got to get every turret firing at my, the assailant or the enemy that I'm shooting at. Excuse me. And sometimes it's not in your best bet, especially when you got targets on multiple sides here. And as you can see, the Kagero that just appeared, a Mayhem is off to his right a little bit. The enemy Baltimore and Tirpitz are off to his left. So he has to be careful about just sticking his guns to one side. He keeps on backing up here as he's still detected, obviously, by those enemy destroyers right there. But he's just looking for opportunistic shots at these enemy cruisers and battleships that are clearly focused on that North Carolina on his team that's over there. Unfortunately, he is just about to die. Shot another salvo at that Baltimore at pretty decent range, and it appears that none of the shells hit. So at this point, the friendly North Carolina is just about to die, and he's got all those cruisers and battleships in front of him. He does go off detection, however. The Iowa has a pretty sneaky good detection range if you know how to build it properly. It can get down to around 14, 13 kilometers, somewhere in that range, and it makes shots like these that you're seeing here, you can do them really efficiently, because that Colorado had absolutely no idea that he was right there exactly. The shells are on point, and before the Colorado can even reply, 3 hits, 7,000 damage, and he is destroyed. And that's something that American battleships are really good for. You can get good concealment ratings on these things, and once again, he pops off detection due to the fact that enemy destroyers are in smoke, the Kagero's behind the island, and that Tirpitz is certainly far enough away. However, the enemy Kagero is going to be popping around the island at any moment right now. And there he is. Oh, no, the Udaloy. Wow, Kagero's being real sneaky. Shoots his forward guns out at the Udaloy. Only registers 2 hits, 1350 damage done. Wow, that Kagero, man, those things are sneaky. I swear that was him. Oh well. Pardon me. Enemy Baltimore makes his appearance 12.4 kilometers away. 11 seconds left on the reload for Puddin here. He's up to 48,000 damage and 1 kill with off of 21 hits and 2 incapacitations. Enemy Baltimore is, for whatever reason, still sailing completely broadside to Puddin at this point. He shoots his forward turrets. Ooh, that's a juicy looking salvo right there. Will he get rewarded for this? Ugh. Man, those are the worst. You get idiots playing really stupid like that and you still don't get rewarded for it. However, you can see here he's doing a fantastic job of altering his speed, shifting his course ever so slightly left and right, and that Baltimore has missed the majority of the shots that he's actually put into Putin simply because, he's doing a good job of just being irrational, being very erratic, sporadic, I should say. Baltimore's still sailing away at a decent speed. Putin's looking for the shot. He just goes off detection, and he shoots. We'll see if his guesstimation pays off. No, it does not. All right. So he's just over 50,000 damage here. His team is losing 5 ships to 4, and as such has about a 60-point deficit that they have to deal with at the moment. So it's at this point Putin decides, okay, I've done enough sitting, being stationary, doing my part over here, getting some good damage, but, they're not going to win the game unless they just start sinking some ships. So this is where he decides to move forward, and he's going to start taking the enemy head on here. Now, another thing that you have to understand when you're in your American battleships is that while these ships are generally all around good, obviously pretty decent gun performance, good AA and stuff, they, like every ship in the game, get overwhelmed really quickly. So for him to go out by himself would still be disadvantageous to the team and to himself. So what you have to do when you're a battleship, you're top tier, and, the enemy team has a decent lead or whatever, you don't just want to go, okay, I'm a top-tier battleship, I don't have to worry about anybody, I'm going to go out by myself and do what I want to do, because it's the only way that stuff is going to get taken care of. Well, that's not necessarily the case here. Quinn shoots his forward turret, and then his other 2 at that enemy Baltimore as he was turning to port, right around that island over there. 2 hits. And that is it. Yes, 2 hits done to the Baltimore. Decent damage done there. But that's the thing. When you're top-tier battleship, you can't get into the mindset of, oh, I'm a one-man army. I don't have to worry about anything. Obviously, the Estuary and the Kagero are out in front somewhere out there. And, you got to be very careful. You got to be very careful when you're top-tier. Because some people, they get into the mindset of, oh, I don't got to worry about anything. I'm a top-tier battleship. I'm good. Shoots his forward turret. And, oh, shit, that Estuary just appeared 5.5 kilometers off his bow. Oh, dear. Enemy Baltimore gets taken out, 1 Citadel, 1 hit, 2nd kill of the game, and this Estuary starts turning into him. Maybe he's dropped his torpedoes, maybe he's not. So now Putin is slowing down and turning in towards the Estuary. The Estuary is getting hit by a lot of shells. The Ibuki ends up taking him out, so now he stops. He's coming to a stop, and look at that right there. If he would have kept sailing in a straight line, he would have gotten hit by plenty more than just 2 torpedoes. However, he only gets hit by 2, takes a little over 21,000 damage, but he's going to get at least half of that back with his damage control. So right there, just by altering his course very, very so slightly, he is able to not take quite a bit significant more damage from that enemy Estuary. And obviously Russian destroyers are certainly not known for their torpedoes, but right there he prevented himself from getting into a quite the catastrophe. Unfortunately, the shots on the Hipper about 20 seconds ago were quite a bit off, so he's reloading, got about 6 seconds left. Friendly team has now pulled the scores back. They have 6 ships compared to the enemy team's 5. And he's moving forward here with the Mayhan, with the Ibuki. There's also another battleship off to his left, the other Iowa. Takes a nice shot at the enemy Hipper. Decent looking salvo right there. Gets 2 hits, 3,500 damage. Sitting at 65,000 damage done. Swings his ship just slightly more to the left to get his rear turret into play. And that's a viable tactic, shooting the forward 2 turrets on your Iowa, swinging just a little bit slightly to your left or to your right to get that 3rd gun working, and then move back to the right or to the left, depending on which way you came, to stay angled in for the enemy's return shot, and then you continue and repeat the process. The enemy Hipper presents himself with slightly more of a broadside. He's now 11.4 kilometers away, and you see here the shots that Putin's putting in. The dispersion it's questionable, and this is relatively short range, quite frankly. Actually, I would consider this short range engagement, at least up here at the high tiers for the battleships. And his forward turrets have just, his aiming's been a little off, but that last salvo, certainly, the dispersion was just a little rough. And that's the thing about the American high tier battleships, as one of their own, the Otago, gets taken out. You see the dispersion as you're looking at the shells right there. It's not bad, but it doesn't feel like, it feels like it could be much better. 3 hits there for 5,800 damage. The enemy Shores makes an appearance over off to his starboard side at 15 kilometers. He's swinging his rear turret into play. He's going to take a pod shot right as the Shores disappears out of detection range. So right now, still, his team is now losing by about 50 points, and the enemy shores is on the cap, shoots his forward turrets, and he decides to head back to the cap at this point. And this is the critical juncture and the point of the game where he really starts to assert himself here. Obviously, he gets the defended base right there with the one shell hit, but he's got to get back and cap this base because that shores has pretty good detectability if the enemy captain is running with a concealment build. So he's got to get back and ensure that this guy does not get away. He goes off a detection range right there. Again, 16.1 kilometers. You can see here the pretty decent ranges that you can get off of detection with the Iowa, as long as you have at least some sort of concealment build going for you, whether it's the captain skill or whether it's the equipment piece. Shoots his forward turrets again, and you're, again, just looking at the dispersion as the shells are going through the air when they came out. 3 hits right there, but sometimes it just feels really bad. And that's really the only downside to the Iowa, and that's why I'm really excited to see what this new change to the equipment piece that you can now put on it, where it will decrease the dispersion by 11%, and it's, again, only for American battleships, at least as far as I know, for the top tier ones. Unfortunately, with that salvo, the rune turns right as he fires, probably one of the most annoying and frustrating things in the game to have happen. And all of his shells miss. But you see there where the shells landed. 3 of them landed in a line, a couple more to the left, 1 more to the right. And it was just staggered pretty much like it was laid out horizontally. And that's the kind of dispersion that you really don't want. It just sucks. But enough of me talking bad about the dispersion here. Lining up for another shot on the shores. He's only got 2,000 health left. If he lands 2 shells on target to do overpens, he will get the kill. 1 shell hits. That is the 3rd ship taken out of the game. They're still losing by a score of 369 to 443, but it is now 4v4, and it's at this point that the enemy Iowa presents himself completely broadside, not paying attention at 9.6 kilometers. He gets his rear turret into play, and he's about ready to unleash. Oh boy. This could be rough. Take a look-see here. See what happens. Well then. That was unexpected. 3 hits for about 9,000 damage, and even at that range you saw there, the dispersion, man, it sucked a little bit. It really sucked a little bit. The enemy Iowa was turning in towards him. His secondaries start opening up 6.5 kilometers away, and he's coming under the fire from not only the Ibuki, but the other Iowa that's on his team behind him is going to start shooting at him. Shoots 3 shells, 2 hit. Shoots his second turret, none hit. Swinging his rear turret into play, he's got to be careful, but it appears that Iowa is still not paying attention to him, and this is certainly only to his benefit. Still waiting, still waiting, still waiting, up at 85,000 damage done. 8 seconds left. 7, 6. Oh, man, can this hurry up? God, this Iowa is not even paying attention. The RNG is screwing him over. Shoots his forward turret. Second one. There we go. 18,000 damage done. 1 Citadel. 4 target hits. Total of 5 shells out of the 6. Trying to swing his rear turret into play. He just cracked the 104,000 damage mark. Sets his target on fire with one of his secondaries. Gets the rear turret into play. Shoots. Another Citadel. Iowa taken care of. That is his 4th kill of the game. Brawling like a straight-up boss. And now he has to deal with the enemy Tirpitz on almost full health that just came back to the base to try and defend. However, now he has to deal with 3 ships, and the game is pretty much in the hands of Putin's team at this point. The enemy, or the friendly Iowa, shoots his front turrets at the Tirpitz, scores some really nice hits. Putin's now looking for a shot. Front 2 turrets out. Dispersion looks okay. Boom. 4 hits, 12,850 damage, Confederate, and he is having himself a hell of a game now. And the Tirpitz fires HE. Oh man, you know a Tirpitz player when you see him. You just see that HE come out, and it's like, yep. His secondary is getting more into high gear here, setting another fire. Shoots, shell bounces off the Tirpitz, however, he's about to die. 7,000 health left. And Putin takes him out for the Kraken. 5 ships killed, 52 hits, 3 Citadels. What a game thus far. Sitting there at the western end of the map, doing some decent damage, but not really getting the kills and really enforcing his will on the enemy team. And then all of a sudden, in the last about 10 minutes, just pure bliss right there. What a performance right there. by using his guns to his advantage, not taking much damage in return. Obviously, it helped that some of those battleships weren't paying attention, but just using his ship, tanking damage, getting good damage back out. He's taken just about 30,000 damage off of his ship, and he's dealt 126. And that's the thing with the battleships. You not only want to soak up the damage, but you really, really, really want to deal the damage back out. So now he's sitting on the cap, and it's just a matter of time until his team caps the enemy base, and they win the game. So what did we learn right there watching this? Well, he just did a good job of using the Iowa's strengths, staying bow in, keeping that decent armor in check, because when you're bow in, this thing certainly has very good armor, and RNG screwed him a little bit there, honestly. I was quite expecting a bit more damage watching this replay for the first time. He didn't get as many citadels as I figured, but at the end of the day, you can't deny that a performance like this is not honestly really, really good. A Kraken gets a Confederate, 5 kills, about to cap the enemy base. It's going to be a healthy amount of XP, going to be a healthy amount of credits, a healthy amount of Captain's XP. Just overall, a fantastic game, and that's basically all you can ask for when you're up here at the high tiers. You're not caring about the money that you make. You just want to enforce your will. You want to do really good and take care of business. Taking a look now at the post-battle results, 140,000 damage, almost 10,000 experience earned, 5 ships killed with a Kraken and a Confederate, almost 500,000 credits, 2,445 base XP, and that right there is just a perfect game on how to brawl in your American battleships. Using your guns, targets of opportunity, angling your armor, mitigating torpedo damage if you know you can't get out of there. Just a fantastic game overall, and I'm glad that he sent me this one to show you guys. The Sneaky Snake out.